Alright guys, this is the last video before the reveal of the frozen soaps. Now you should know that once the soaps go into the mold, they should sit out and cool for maybe 10 minutes just somewhere flat by themselves, and then put them into the freezer. I find that this helps reduce shrinking in the soap when it's drying. So my soap is right here, fresh out of the pot, right there. I'm going to get my gloves. Because I'm going to lead by example, so you see how to do this. Usually I would just do this with my hands, even as hot as it is. Now I'm not turning my water off on the stove yet, because sometimes if the soap is too hot, you can let it sit out. You can pour it into the mold as hot as it is, but if it gets too cold, just drop it back into the water for maybe another 10 minutes until that cold soap melts again. So I'm going to mash this like this, just in the bag the way it is. You see it has its pretty orange color from the carrot puree, and it's still got the nice same heavy feel that it had with the puree and the soap, and that's a good thing. That should cut down on drying time. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but there is a white speck right there. That is just some soap that has not melted completely. Sometimes you can mash it down and sometimes you can't. Don't worry about it. If you have a whole bunch of those clumps, then worry. If not, don't worry about it. So I'm going to take it out of this bag right now. And very, very carefully, because this is very hot, I'm going to lay it flat, and I'm going to stretch my hands back here to push this down away from the edge of the bag. And sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. So, but I want the majority of the soap back and away from there. I do not want to pull the bag, because rips will occur, like I think I have one right now, from pulling the bag a little bit too much on one side. So I want to keep the soap away from the top of the bag where the rip is. And that's just because these bags get hot, and you know they don't play very nice with heat. Alright. So down, open up the bag. That is what you should see in the bottom there. Now I'm going to add in my benzoin powder. I'm going to take my gloves off because I can't do this with the gloves on. I'm going to add my benzoin powder, which is going to be 2 teaspoons. And I'm going to add my flaxseed oil. Here's my benzoin powder. Now this stuff is tricky. You are going to have some granules. I'm pretty sure you've seen from the other hand mill videos I've done me complaining about how grainy this stuff is because it gets clumpy. But really, I don't think there's much you can do about it but to squish it down like I'm doing right now. So if you end up with some powder clumps, you know, you just have to, you know, bear with it. It's just aesthetic. So that's going right into the bag here. See some clumps already. Oh. Now I'm trying to distribute this around to the top layers. And now I'm going to squish with my hands. Yes, I know, very hot, very hot. You should wear gloves. I will not. I'm going to squish with my hands and try to keep it away from the top of this bag here. Now this soap, it cools really, really fast. The basic soap that I used. You see that dark blotch there? That's the benzoin powder. Don't worry about it. It will get incorporated, every last bit of it. It's a matter of massaging the bag. And getting it back down again. softer here. I'm going to rub the side of the bag here. Yes, this takes really asbestos hands to do this by hand, but I can't do it with the gloves on. It tends to pull the bag apart more, so. Okay, benzoin worked in for the most part. Just flip it over. Keep kneading. Bag is open at the top. And now it is not. Okay, so now I'm going to add my flaxseed oil. Tablespoon of that. One measured tablespoon of flaxseed oil goes right into the bag. Flaxseed oil is good for the skin and the scalp and the body. It's high in omega-3 fatty acids, so it's perfect for soap. It's used as super fat, and that's what I'm doing. I'm super fatting the soap with flaxseed oil. It's going to add moisture as well. Get that in there. Now my soap is cooling very rapidly. As you can see, I can touch it. I'm going to close this bag up, and I'm going to sit it somewhat in here, like a little dosing method, to just heat this up so I can get it down, so I can pour it into the molds. You see what time it is? 7:25. So while I get this heated, the last video you'll see is me pouring in the molds and putting in the freezer.